Some consider her to be the 7-colored Puppeteer. A little too much colors if you ask me, but hey, I ain't the one who said that. Others think of her as the little child from a long time ago. Hell, before she was considered the Puppeteer. And there are others who may think of this Puppeteer as a tsundere who really has her sights on a certain black and white magician. I will refer to said girl as Alice. Hello, Magi here, and welcome back to another episode of Character Profile, the series where I take an in-depth look of a character from games, print works, fan-related stuff, and anything that could be associated with Alice will be discussed here. So without further ado, let's begin the character profile for Alice Margatroid. Name and their meaning. To start off, let's look at her name. Her full name is Alice Margatroid. In the PC98 era, however, she had no surname. Zune states in Mystic Square that he originally based her off the Alice from Megumi Tensei series. Damn, that's one scary motherfucker! Also, she was called the Girl of Death. Well, that's bloody welcoming. In addition, the Alice from Megumi Tensei is, in turn, based off of the main protagonist and Lewis Carroll's famous novel Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, to which the majority of enemies in Mystic Square's extra stage are card soldiers of the same type seen in the Walt Disney animated movie version of the novel. The title of the background music used in that stage also directly translates to Alice in Wonderland. When Zune created the extra stage in Mystic Square, he decided to add a grimoire to her character design as a reference to a fighting game, Asura Blade, Sword of Destiny, in which a necromancer named Alice carries one. At least this one ain't as creepy, I think anyway. Her name also carries an image of illusion. Her surname, Margatroid, is derived from a real surname, Margatroid, with a different spelling. It was also the name of the character Miss Margatroid from Agatha Christie's book A Murder is Announced, and Margatroid was also a nickname for the vampire in Kim Newman's Anno Dracula. On an interesting note, in a BBC Radio 4 adaptation was the first broadcast on August 9th, 1999. A girl named Alice Arnold was responsible for Miss Margatroid's role. The middle dot in the middle of her name is used in foreign names to show where the next word begins. We also see this with another character, which is Yarormyr Sweet. She also has a dot in the middle of her name. That's a very important dot indeed. Character appearance. Next would have to be how she looked over the years. Alice was first seen in Mystic Square wearing a pink/white dress with a blue apron and a matching headband with a ribbon on the side. Her eyes were gold, her hair is blonde, and she wears white socks. In the extra stage of the game, she appears to be carrying a large book that's called the Grimoire of Alice. In Perfect Cherry Blossom, she has blue eyes and short blonde hair and a red band in her hair. She wears a light blue dress with long white sleeves and a long pink ribbon going around her neck and another one round her waist. Also, she appears to be wearing socks and has a black book, possibly the same one from Mystic Square. In Immaterial and Missing Power, Alice's sprite have blue eyes, but in her portrait, she instead has gold eyes. Her book is wrapped up in red ribbon and she has strings on her fingers to control her dolls. She's also seen wearing black boots. From Imperishable Night and on, Alice's eyes have continued to remain gold, but her sprites in Scarlet Weather and Hiso Tensoko were unchanged from blue. Either her eyes changed in battle or they were too lazy to fix it. I'm going with the latter. Upon first glance, she is said to look like a doll, which is unusual among Touhou characters. Her height is stated to be fairly tall. Quite the opposite from Marissa, who was, fairly short. Appearance in games and print work. Let's see all the places Alice has shown up. Alice first appeared in Mystic Square on stage 3 as the Girl of Death. She showed up as a magician who looks quite young, who confronted the heroine, invading into a town within Magi with the help of her living dolls, or fairies, while using a barrier. In fact, she was the first boss the heroine met after entering Magi. On the extra stage, she appeared as Alice of the Land of Magic and fought with 5 colors, red, blue, purple, yellow, and green, as well as having 9 phases in her Damaku, with her 6th and 9th ones being the most notable among them. That's a lot of phases if you ask me, but as an extra boss, it is to be expected. She makes her first appearance in the Windows era in PCB as the 3rd stage boss. The thing is, she has no real purpose in fighting them, and only does so because she was there by chance. Who needs reasons when you want to attack someone? For sure ain't Alice. Alice is a playable character in Imperishable. In the game, she's part of the magician team with Marissa. She's the yokai half of the team. She goes out to investigate when she notices something wrong with the moon. She tried to, but because she didn't know the enemy, nor was she used to resolving incidents, she got Marissa to join in by bribing her with some grimoires. That's one way to get Marissa to join ya. She's in Immaterial as a playable character. Alice finds the mist and the frequency of feasts to be strange, so she heads out to Reimu and Marissa's place and asks them why they haven't done anything about it. Alice is in Shoot the Bullet. Here Aya tries to take photos of her spell cards. She's in stage 3-1, 3-3, 3-5, and 3-7. She appears in Scarlet Weather as a playable character. With the strange weather that's been going on with Ginsokyo, she goes to the Hakare Shrine to warn Reimu about the earthquake, but was too late. And Reimu gets pissed for the late warning. Classic Reimu. Even when they try to be helpful, she'll still try to attack them. Alice shows up in Subterranean. Sort of. When picking Marissa, you get to choose between 3 shot options. One with Alice, one with Patchley or Neatery. Choosing Alice enables you to use dolls. You also get Alice talking with Marissa during the levels if you choose her shot options, but only through the dolls like a cell phone. She appears in Hiso Tensoko as a playable character. She doesn't have a story mode, mind you, but she does show up in one however. She's the final boss for Chiruno's scenario as Chiruno fights the Goliath Doll. Her last game appearance would be in Hopeless Masquerade, but only as a background character. She's in the Human Village stage on the far right hand side of the screen standing around. Let's see how Alice has fared when it came to Printworks. She's in Bohemian where Aya makes an article about her. Aya sees Alice nailing some straw dolls onto some trees behind the shrine. That's not creepy whatsoever. Alice is in Strange and Bright Nature Deity as a secondary character. In Perfect Memento, Q writes an article for the doll Puppeteer. She's in Silent Sinner but only with some cameos. She's in the prologue, chapter 1 and 9. In the Inaba of the Moon and Inaba of the Earth, she's a minor character. She appears in the Grimoire of Marissa where Marissa writes a page about Alice. In Oriental, she has a cameo in chapter 12. She has a few cameo in Waltenhorn Hermit. She appears in chapter 3, chapter 16, and chapter 32. She shows up in Forbidden Squirrelry in chapter 1 and 10 but only as a cameo. Alice appears in Strange Creator of Outer World, Volume 2 Profile section, Cross Review section. Trust me, this section has some juicy info about it. She's also showing up in the latest work, Visionary, but only as a cameo in chapter 1. Personality. Let's review what Alice is like in person. According to Perfect Memento, maybe since she was originally a human, even as a yokai, she has high understanding and friendship levels to humans and presents a low danger level. And if someone gets lost in the force of magic, she also gladly gives shelter upon arriving at her house. However, Alice's house is covered all over with dolls, and since she is not very eager for conversation, it seems like visitors immediately flee when there is something eerie. When she showed her hospitality was in Immaterial when she led Sakya out of the forest who had become lost. In chapter 5 or 6 of Strange, the 3 fairies of light accidentally arrived at her house and Alice was hospitable to them, providing tea and cake. She seemed caring with the fairies. However, Sunny attempted to lie to Alice but accidentally blurted out the truth instead. Among her ramblings, she mentions that she's looking for a magician with a grimoire that shines wonderfully with all the 7 colors of the light. Alice does not deny this to be false and became very angry. It is possible this is the in-universe explanation for her title, 7-Colored Puppeteer. The Japanese bullfinches, called Uso, a homophone with lies, saw through the aforementioned lie of the fairies, and as birds that peck at all lies said until now, A large group of them came flying to the window, and as opposed to how the fairies were severely pecked at, Alice was saying, "Oof, oof, oof. So how does it taste?" while nonchalantly providing a cracker to the bird. Thus, it could be said that Alice does not tell lies. Maybe you can teach a certain human magician to stop lying. She's attached to magic, but she is indifferent to other people. She doesn't perform the usual act of attacking humans, but she unexpectedly likes fights, and upon challenge to battle, she gladly accepts. As she manipulates a great number of combat dolls, the fight is compelled to be heavily outnumbered, making a difficult fight inevitable. But since she has her hands full with manipulating the dolls, that is her weakness. Even having an army on your sides can have downsides from the looks of it. She's an indoor type who was often alone. But in Perfect Memento, the range of her place of activity is any kind of place in Gensokyo. She performs her share of intermingling with the village, appearing in front of people in times of festivals to exhibit her skills with dolls. In each ending of Imperishable and Immaterial, she participated in banquets at the Hakurei Shrine. In addition to things like the frog dolls being popular, there have also been expressions that indicate that her dolls are well received in the village. She also said things that hinted that she sometimes visits the library of the Scarlet Devil Mansion. Unlike a certain magician, she'll actually return the books. Probably anyway. Just like Marissa, she has an obsession with collecting things, especially magic items. Although this is an area that could be thought of as an area of commonality between them, there has not been a single depiction that would suggest that she had anything stolen from Marissa. And you thought her precious thing was stolen. Occupation/jobs. She doesn't have an occupation at this point, unless you want to count a magician who specializes with dolls as one of them. General information/backstory. Let's take a general look at Alice and her backstory. She is a pure all-purpose type magician yokai who lives in a Western style house in the force of magic, without strengths and weakness in attributes. But she fundamentally fights in style of manipulating her self-made dolls. With a personality that is indifferent to other people, she is attached to magic and is usually confident but is also timid in one aspect. In the games on the PC-98, she lived in Magi, calling herself the Magician of Magi, and had a black book that's called the Grimoire of Alice. Magi was created by Shinki along with its residents. She was also a magician that can control dolls. She also created her own Wonderland in Magi. In the games on Windows era, Alice's book in her character portrait in Imperishable reveals that the writing possibly spells out Grimoire. This is some evidence that the book is possibly the same Grimoire which Alice used in the extra stage. In PCP she said, "At last, former friend, we meet again. Have you only brought your life as a gift?" Which can be considered to be something carried over from the PC-98 games, and Zune himself said it was the third time they have fought. Trust me, this shit gets even better in the interesting facts section. Titles! When it comes to titles, she has a good amount in my opinion. Let's look at her titles from the PC-98 era. She has Girl of Death, Alice in Magic Land, and Witch of Death. Witch of Death. She ain't fucking around, that's for sure. When it comes to the Windows era, she has Superficially Busy Yokai, Puppeteer of the Hell, and her most famous title, 7-Colored Puppeteer. Possessions. When it comes to possessions, she's definitely not slacking, comparable to the main girls and even Kaguya. One of the possessions we're going to talk about is clearly the Grimoire of Alice. The Grimoire of Alice is a spellbook owned by Alice. In the PC-98 canon, she uses it against the heroine in the extra stage of Mystic Square, which she refers to its powers as the ultimate magic. The Grimoire of Alice is also the title of the background music for this fight. In the Windows canon, Alice is known to carry around a locked book. While never officially stated, this is widely assumed to be the Grimoire, kept sealed due to her habit of never fighting at full strength. In Imperishable, she was seen carrying a book that appears to be the Grimoire. Sunny refers to Alice as possessing a grimoire that shines wonderfully with all 7 colors of light, though the truth of this statement is unclear. Marissa insists that the Grimoire of Marissa is absolutely not a copy of Alice's grimoire in any way. Clearly not, Marissa, as everything you do is 100% original, without a doubt. As a doll manipulator, it wouldn't be surprising if we talked about her dolls. In this section, we'll be looking at the ones she uses the most. First off is Shanghai. The Shanghai Doll is the only doll that Alice is known to have a name for. Generally, Shanghai refers to the doll Alice is always accompanied with. However, the relationship between her and Alice in canon is vague and not clear. Her image of characteristics, including the name, appearance, and personality, come from secondary works. The name Shanghai Doll first appeared in Alice's Curse Eerily Luminous Shanghai Doll spell card. You see this in spell card 41, 42, and 43 of PCB. Let's take a quick look at Shanghai's design. In the game, usually a doll is drawn next to Alice. This doll is commonly regarded as Shanghai, but is not indicated in canon whether it is her. The sprite of a doll in PCB shows that her dress and shoes are dark red and she has a set of 4 fairy-like wings. In Immaterial's official art, a doll wears a long purple dress with a white apron and white sleeves and matching dark purple shoes. There is a large red bow in her hair and a smaller matching bow around her neck. In Scarlet Weather's official art, a doll has blonde hair and blue eyes. She wears a black colored dress with a white apron with black sleeves. The bow on her head and dress are colored in a lighter red and she appears to be holding a razor. The next doll also has a name, Horai. Horai is one of Alice's dolls. She's theoretically more powerful than Shanghai due to Shanghai being used by Alice while playing on the hard difficulty setting of PCB and Horai being used while playing on Lunatic. Horai appears in Alice's spell card, Cursed Hang Horai Dolls. In Immaterial, Horai was one of Alice's second level spell card. She had the exact same sprite and effect as Shanghai, the first level spell card of the same type, only much stronger. The last of the notable doll is the Goliath Doll. The Goliath Doll is a giant doll in Alice's final spell card in Hiso Tensoko. She is known to be the most powerful of Alice's doll, but not much is really known about her. Hell, even her name, Goliath Doll, hasn't been confirmed by Zune to be official. So such name is derived by fans from the spell card she appears in, testing Goliath Doll. The doll has some importance to Chiruno's story actually. In Hiso Tensoko, as Chiruno is asking Marissa if she saw a Dai Dara Bochi, she points to the force of magic that a big figure occurred within. Chiruno goes over and encounters Alice, who figures that she can test the doll on her with the spell card testing Goliath Doll. After a 60-second countdown, both Alice and the doll were defeated, with the latter exploding in a catastrophic fail. Despite not being the aforementioned, it ended up being the Da Dara Bochi Chiruno was looking for. Giant dolls or not, you don't mess with the strongest! Abilities/powers. Let's look at what kind of powers Alice possesses. Unlike Marissa, Alice does not find it enjoyable to win battles with overwhelming power and is more interested in strategy, so she usually fights with power that is a little above that of the opponent and always holds back even if it means losing. It is because if she were defeated using her true strength, then there will be nothing left afterwards, which resembles Reimu. It is unknown if this is fundamental to her personality or if this is simply something she judged as an efficient strategy that her secret skills should not be shown. Now I'm curious to see what Alice can really do. Related to this, in Scarlet Weather, among the 15 characters, she did not have a cost 5 spell card, which might be an example of not showing her true strength. However, in Hiso Tensoko, a cost 5 spell card was added. In the first place, since imperishable, she had a last word just like other characters, which were supposed to exemplify each of the characters' full strength. It does not mean that she never displays her full strength with an appropriate spell card, no matter what the situation. On the other hand, it could also be that her last word spell card, the Phantom of the Grand Guignol, was actually still going easy. In Immaterial, she kept avoiding the really strong characters, not fighting those like Vermilia and Yuriko, spending her efforts to get to Suika. It is unclear what state of mind she had at the time to do such a thing. Incidentally, it was the same in Scarlet Weather. Concerning this, She succeeded in her goal when she met Sakuya, Patchouli, and Yomu, as she judged that it would be a waste of effort to meet Romelia and Yuriko, but she did engage in a battle with the strong-ass yokai that's named Yukari. Additionally, she felt comfortable testing her Goliath doll on Chiruno and Hiso Tensoko. During the PC98, she obtained the Grimoire of Alice, a book that produced the ultimate magic, and it seems like it would contain amazing magic that couldn't be used without reading it. Her main ability as of the Windows canon will be handling her dolls. As her specialty is making dolls, she's able to manipulate a great amount of dolls at the same time. This skill is among the finest in Gensokyo. She is able to make her dolls move pretty much any way humans can, and other than that, she can make multiple dolls perform different actions, sometimes making them cooperate and sometimes making them move completely asynchronously, such that to onlookers around her, it might not seem like that she is manipulating them. Due to this, Marissa commented that she said that she controls all the dolls herself, but that sounds like a whopper. The dolls can themselves manipulate and maybe even create other dolls, but it seems that Alice insists on creating new dolls herself. I can appreciate Alice making her own dolls, pretty nice. In Chapter 5 of Strange, she gave a command to a doll orally, but at the time she was indoors, while at the same time, there were at least 12 dolls above the roof removing snow, and there was also some dolls inside the room cooking. At that time, the dolls have been portrayed as having emotions in a cute way. Although in common perception, it would seem obvious for the dolls to be able to talk, but there has been no mention of conversational ability. In some official material, however, like Imperishable's prologue in Strange's Chapter 5, Alice's doll appeared to be able to act and talk independently. Someone adds in words in hiragana to Alice's word. In Marissa's B ending in Subterranean, it has been confirmed that the dolls do talk in katakana. Whether the dolls are talking due to manipulation by Alice, or if half-automatic dolls are talking by themselves is a big mystery. However, according to her Performamental article, she hasn't yet succeeded in creating an independent doll, and a conversation between Marissa and Ryunosuke in Curiosity of Lotus Asia Chapter 16 suggests that Alice just controls the doll and pretends they are alive for her own amusement and for showing off, but these talks were before the latter said game. I don't know how I feel about talking dolls. Do we really want Alice with an army of Chuckies here? According to Bohemian, her main objective is to make a completely autonomous doll that have their own thoughts and move by their own volition. Currently, when Alice gives a command to her dolls, they move as if they were autonomous, but she has to periodically give commands to them, and moreover, it seems like she has not had enough training in order to achieve it. In Hiso Tensoko, she unleashes a move called semi-automation. Because of that, it can be seen that the degree to which the ordinary Alice manipulates the doll is clearly not all by herself. In order to perfect a completely autonomous doll, Alice does experiments, and the link to that with the soul is detailed. However, according to her conversation with Yomu, it was said that the strings that attach to the body and souls are the same as the ones that control her dolls. If this is originally considered, then it could be asked, isn't that which was put into the doll's Alice's own spirit? It is not explained for the dolls that she is experimenting with if she needs to periodically give them magic power, or if they are just fine without, and if they would move even if she does not give them any commands at all. However, in Hiso Tensoko, Alice did say it seems that it's more convenient to control the dolls myself than have dolls that think on their own. Well, this is just getting complicated now. Among Alice's famous skills, if the explanation of Ito High Explosive Pond and Lemming's Parade are looked at, she also prepares her dolls for explosives. Yeah, explosive dolls are always something you want to be careful of. In Subterranean, it seems that the dolls she lent to Marissa have been prepared with gunpowder, and due to this, she objected to Marissa since they wouldn't survive in the hell of blazing fires. Certainly in the games, the dolls didn't randomly explode. Also in Magic Sign Artful Sacrifice, as well as the skill Volatile Dolls, Doll Cremation, and so on, she is able to put in magic power into the dolls to make them explode. It's unclear what the relation or difference is between the dolls that use gunpowders and the dolls with magic powers put into them. One Lemmings parade consumes an enormous number of dolls, and since all the dolls are handmade by Alice, to ordinary people it would seem that without reason she returns her hard work to waste in an instant. However, it could be questioned as to whether Alice really adopted such a bad technique for such efficiency, and there's also the consideration that the dolls could merely be creating a blast from the explosion without scattering and dispersing so that they are able to be collected again. That would be really convenient if that was the case. Another power Alice has is phantom seeing power. Other than manipulating dolls, it seems that Alice has high phantom seeing power, and in Imperishable's extra stage, she saw through that Moku was not actually living. In PCBs afterward, it has been written that something that can't die isn't really alive. In addition to Imperishable, she saw through Kane's true form and also saw the invisible light from the full moon. Music! When it comes to music, she is actually doing pretty well. Hell, off the top of my head, she might have the most themes aside from Reimu and Marissa. And that's saying something. We're going to start off with the PC98 music. Her first theme would be the Mystic Square Stage 3, Romantic Children. Her Stage 3 boss theme is called Plastic Mind. Like mentioned, Alice was also the extra stage boss of the game. Her extra stage theme is called Alice in Wonderland. Now her extra stage boss theme is called Grimoire of Alice. This track also got the remix treatment in Hiso Tensoko. With Mystic Square taken care of, let's look at the Windows canon. In PCB, her Stage 3 theme is called the Doll Maker of Bokuresh. This stage theme got quite the remixes as well. It's remixed in Immaterial as her day theme and Scarlet Weather. Her Stage 3 boss theme is called Doll Judgment, the girl who played with people's shape. In Immaterial, she has a night theme that's called Doll Judgment. Gameplay! Let's review how the doll Puppeteer has functioned in the games. Alice's first playable appearance would be in Imperishable. Here she teams with Marissa to figure out what's wrong with the moon. Alice is the yokai side of the team. Her speed is second best when compared to the other yokais. Her familiar is Shanghai Doll. Her shot is Spectrum Mystery. Her spell card is called Magic Sign, Artful Sacrifice. Her last spell is Magi Manipulation, Return Inanimateness. Last spells are activated when you get hit and bomb immediately. If you're Marissa and got hit, if you bomb quickly, you activate Alice's last spell, Magi Manipulation, Return Inanimateness. She shows up in Subterranean, sort of. Like mentioned in the appearance section, when choosing Marissa, you get 3 choices for shots. Picking Marissa gives you the reinforced type. Your options are the doll options. It's a little weird in terms of their shots. When unfocused, their shots are more concentrated, while being in focus stance makes the shot spread wide. The shots are called Rainbow Wire. It's a super low speed shot. Her spirit attack is Remote Sacrifice. You can sacrifice a doll to shoot a super high powered laser. The support skill is the unique feature you get from each person. Alice has the ability to give you 8 options, which in turns mean 8 bombs. Definitely something Marissa can appreciate. Bombs for days. With the Damaku portion taken care of, let's look at the fighters. Upon first glance, Alice seems to be one of the weaker characters, with slow bullets and oddly spaced attacks that have problems hitting at times. However, a proper Alice user will know that she is one of the few characters in the game capable of launching a seamless attack in the corner that, if properly set up, is utterly uncounterable by reversals or bombs. Her strength lies in superior Okizime, space control, and range rushdown. In this game, Alice's melee and bullets are rather unique. Because they utilize her numerous dolls, they can act autonomously of Alice, allowing her to use both melee and projectiles at the same time, or to use delayed bullets to pin the opponent down. Alice's melee also has huge range, letting her command large amount of space. The nature of her dolls leads to momentum-based style. Alice is dominant if she can set up properly, but has difficulty creating instant offense. She also has limited reversal capability and lacks close range normals. In order to use Alice properly, a very observant mindset is crucial, as it is often necessary to use intricate setups and traps that contain many steps in order to get results. The gameplay matches up with the character. A character all about being observant, calculating, and strategic. Definitely Alice's alley, meaning a character I would never pick up, that's for sure. Spell cards. Let's look at some of Alice's spell card. She's got a lot as it is, and a gameplay section, so this one will be shorter compared to the previous ones. She's appeared in much more games, so we'll be tackling a few of them. The first one will be Magic Sign, Artful Sacrifice. You'll see this in Imperishable, but also in Immaterial and Scarlet Weather. The next one will be Magi Manipulation, Return Inanimateness. Again, it was an Imperishable, and it's also an Immaterial. In Scarlet Weather, however, it's called Demonic Control, Return Inanimateness, and it's mentioned in the Grimoire of Marissa. Next is War Sign, Little Legion. It appears in Immaterial and Scarlet Weather. Last for this list will be Curse Sign, Shanghai Doll. Relationships. Let's look at all the connections she's made over the years. Marissa Kirisame is a fellow magician of the Force of Magic. They were partners in Imperishable, and she was supporting Marissa in Subterranean. Within the PC98 canon, Alice met Marissa and they fought during the events of Mystic Square, but the dialogue leaves open that they may have known each other earlier than that. They also fought each other in PCB. It isn't official that Marissa has ever stolen anything from Alice. In Imperishable, they've teamed up as a bad relationship combination. At the time, the reason why Alice called out Marissa with her voice for this reason, incident resolution, is that it's only because they've become used to it. In the bad ending, while Marissa worked over the secret measures of the Lunarians, but since Alice by her side was tired, she chose to sleep first. By the time of the event of Subterranean, Alice sent Marissa to the underground, saying that it was an onsen enjoyment game. Compared to the time of Imperishable, they've had softer conversations, which can be seen as that their relationship has improved. She seems to have a love-hate relationship of sorts with Marissa, with the two often insulting and fighting each other, yet teaming up on several occasions. For all the bickering the two go through, they seem to be close friends, as Alice once recommended Marissa shop to the Three Fairies of Light when they needed some yokai extermination, and is comfortable enough for Marissa that in Imperishable's bad ending, when tired, she has no qualms with sleeping over at Marissa's house by Marissa's side. Another important one to discuss would be her dolls. Shanghai and Hora are the two most well-known dolls, or types of dolls, used by Alice. The Goliath Doll is another doll created by Alice, which appears to still be in the testing stages and is thought to be her strongest doll. Next would have to involve our trio pranksters, the Three Fairies of Light. In Strange, she provided help as inviting the Three Fairies of Light to her home and providing tea and cake. She told them, if you got lost, then stay here until the snow goes away, brought some hot red tea, inquired if the room was cold, and also said, well, you should have gotten pretty cold walking outside, so you should just relax and warm up. However, afterwards, when Sunny in some random saying said something which suggested of stealing the grimoire, she became very angry. A surprising person to talk about would be Aaron Yagokoro. Alice has been a recurring customer of Aaron's, coming to see to her to buy a medicine she developed called the Butterfly Dream Pill. The medicine guarantees its imbibber to have pleasant dreams once they fall asleep, and was even featured in an article in Aya's newspaper. The reason for purchasing this medicine, or even what kinds of dreams Alice is trying to have, were never revealed, but instead are left purely to speculation. However, this might be a reference to Alice in Wonderland, from which the concept of her character is derived. We all knew this person had to be discussed somewhere. Shinki. Alice was a resident of Magi during the PC98 era. Due to Alice living in the Forest of Magic in the Windows era, the relationship between Shinki and Alice is never directly addressed. It's unclear whether Alice was created by Shinki, was a normal magician who moved to Magi, or if her origins have been retconned by the Windows game. Q states in Perfect Memento that Alice is a former human who turned into a yokai. A small relationship Alice had would be with Mima. At the end of Mystic Square, Mima takes Alice as her maid, releasing her sometime later. Fun/interesting facts. Let's look at some of the fun/interesting facts about Alice. Starting off, let's look at her title in question. Being known as a 7-color puppeteer or rainbow puppeteer, Alice apparently believes in a correlation between color and power level. During her dialogue with Reimu in PCB, she asserts Reimu's powers are only equal to 28.5714% or 2/7 of her own powers, due to Reimu's outfits only consisting of 2 colors. This appears to be a recurring theme in PCB, as Yukari, Ran, and Chen are all named after colors and have relative power levels equivalent to the colors placed on the visible spectrum. This, however, has not been referenced in recent games. Alice's alternate palette from Scarlet Weather resembles Hina Ichigo, a doll from the manga series Rosen Maiden. In Hiso Tensoko, she has palettes resembling the other Rosen Maiden dolls: Susei Seki, Sousei Seki, Sui Gyunto, Shinku, Kanaria, and Kira Kishu. Add the fact that in Rosen Maiden, the aforementioned dolls are battling for the title of Alice, the perfect doll. That's a lot of dolls, alright. Alice seems to have a connection with dolls in Pseudo Paradise. One involves how one of the honest men died from being nailed to a tree despite being inside, which relates to Alice's article in Bohemian about her nailing straw effigies to trees. Others include how the men stumble upon a Western style building deep within the forest, and how the culprit was a beautiful blonde girl. Well, shit! That's one place to avoid in the future. A funny thing is that it may be purely coincidental that Shanghai and Alice are the creations of Team Shanghai Alice. Probably the most ironic name, given that Team Shanghai Alice is only comprised of one dude! The Horai doll so far has no known relation to either the Horai Elixir or Kaguya Horizon, nor even to Moku, who also has a spell card called Horai Doll. It is most likely a reference to the aforementioned island paradise of Horai, since Alice's other spell cards such as Foggy London Dolls or Red-Haired Dutch Dolls are references to countries or cities. That would be pretty dope if somehow Horai was immortal. You wouldn't be expecting that, now would ya? Another fact that's going to be involving the dolls. As with Shanghai, Horai is canonically a class of doll, rather than a name for one individual doll, and multiple Horai dolls are seen during its spell card in PCB. This next fact is perhaps my favorite regarding Alice. As you know, she made her first Windows appearance in PCB, and if you recall, she had no real purpose whatsoever aside from attacking us because, you know, she's a douchebag. It turns out there was an interesting reason to it. In the dialogue, Alice talks to Reimu and Marissa as if she's known the two before. Aside from knowing them, Alice doesn't really do anything when it comes to the overall story of PCB. At that point, you may be asking, why was she even included? You wouldn't believe the reason if I told you. Well, it's because it was a demo. Right now, you're probably saying, what the fuck, Magi? Let me say, I got a lot of explaining to do. You see, when it comes to the main Touhou games, they usually come out with the demos first. And with these demos, they only last up to stage 3. Zune didn't want to give out hints about what the latter stages are or even what the final boss is. So, in order to hide it, he added in an old character from the past, aka Alice. By doing so, he made the audience think that this game may involve Mystic Square or even Magi to some extent, instead of the whole deal with Yuriko and Saigyoji Ayakashi. Zune, you're one tricky little bastard, aren't ya? Fanon stuff. Sweet, we're in Fanon section, and trust me, this is gonna be something alright. Despite being mistreated often in fan works, or perhaps due to this, Alice is one of the most popular characters in the Touhou project. I can't deny that. If you look at the popularity rankings from 2014 to 2017, Alice has consistently been in the top 10s. Pretty impressive if you ask me. She may appear as an icon for Touhou and has appeared in many fangames as an alternate playable character or a boss, along with being on music albums, anime, and illustrations. Let's discuss a little bit about her pairings. While the most obvious and common pairing for Alice is her imperishable and subterranean teammate, Marissa, Alice has a tremendous amount of fan pairings and may sometimes seduce them, mostly with other popular characters like Reimu, Patchley, and Sakya. Once summed up as a human-like yokai and a yokai-like human, she also has a surprising common pairing with Yuka, who's usually shown teasing or tormenting Alice, probably due to the PC98 appearance. At the time when the video Marissa Stole the Precious Thing became popular as a Marissa and Alice pairing meme, many related videos were made. Among them were several memes that tended towards perverted actions. Due to works like this, Alice is shown to have a crush on Marissa, but unable to express her feelings to the extent that she'll put her life at risk to save Marissa's. The tsundere of Touhou. Let's review some of her characteristics when it comes to Fanon. In Imperishable's character setting.txt file, since it said she spends most of her time alone, it's easy to link it with the image that she surrounds herself with moving dolls, distracting her loneliness with dolls. In derivative works, this has sometimes been taken to the extreme, and she's sometimes portrayed as left out or bullied by other characters. Ouch! That ain't pleasant! Likewise in fanworks, because of her perceived cold exterior and cowardly true persona, she's frequently depicted as a down-on-her-luck tsundere, where in other cases, she's been depicted as a yandere, to which extent her personality becomes very complex for others to understand. Sounds like you and Redditaisei could get along quite well. On other fanworks, however, she can be shown to have an antagonistic personality, going to the extent of getting her hands bloody and killing other characters, filled with horror. However, she may just show to have hatred to others and to only be with herself, and sometimes Marissa. Another thing I want to discuss will be her connections with the PC98 times. The Japanese nickname for the PC98 version of Alice is Lolis, a blend of Lolly and Alice. I mean, it gets the job done, so yeah. This is due to the fact that she appears much younger in Mystic Square, which has become very common amongst the Japanese community. Comparisons are common between the PC98 and Windows version of Alice, often shown next to each other, or that the modern Alice may summon Lolis as a familiar in battle. Summoning your past self in battle. I don't know if that's a good idea. A lot of time travel bullshit can happen with that, I think anyway. Because of Shinki's dialogue in Mystic Square, where she mentions that everything in Makai is her creation, it's thought that Alice is Shinki's daughter, although this definition could also extend to the other Makai residents. However, there's been no further mention of this since then, and Alice was once a human who became a yokai magician. It's unknown whether this is a retroactive change of continuity, merely a change by a queue, or if fans were mistaken from the beginning when thinking Alice was Shinki's daughter. Since there is yet to be any official statement by ZUN, this is merely speculation. It would be nice if Shinki was Alice's mother. I mean, Touhou is really lacking when it comes to the parental department if you ask me. However, the modern Alice would be shown to go and revisit Makai, or for Shinki to enter Gensokyo to visit Alice, commonly shown as a mother-daughter relationship. There are many illustrations and videos that pays a tribute with having a nostalgic feeling to Alice, remembering the times of the PC-98, mainly remixed with both the Grimoire of Alice and Doll Judgment, the girl who played with people's shapes. It's no surprise to anyone, but dolls will be discussed here. Alice is often portrayed as having an obsession with dolls. In some doujin works, she's often depicted making or playing with dolls. It's also widely assumed that she makes dolls of other characters for fun, such as putting on a puppet show with them. This might be somewhat official, as she has at least made dolls representing the three fairies of light and used those to mock them in Strange and Bright Natured Deity. She has also used them in some doujins, like voodoo dolls, in a more sadistic manner. Nasty. Her dolls may also act independent and have the ability to talk without Alice's occurrence, in which she'll use them as slave, which is somewhat official. She uses them in battle and may be surrounded in nothing but her dolls. There is one instance with the fan-made character Maybelle, who's an independent doll that's often shown to be her friend. She'll get angry from Marissa if she attempts to steal any of her dolls. And holy shit, this is a real thing! I'll be damned. Let's look at some of the miscellaneous stuff. Alice is also known to be associated, coupled with the Mobile Suit Gundam Zaku 2 model in some fanwork. The established coupling name is Zaku Alice is My Justice. It became popular in a Touhou comic on Pixiv, drawn by Koppo. There have also been comparisons between Alice and the XS Gundam, mainly the colors, its Alice system, with the final goal having a palette a suit on its own, and its income, which offers all range attacks. There's some fan art highlighting this. Pairings! With the fan art part out of the way, it leaves only the pairings to deal with. First in the list will have to be Marissa and Alice, or Mari Ari, or Malice. Alice and Marissa make up the magic team of Imperishable Night, and as the two are both witches living in the same forest and have occasional quarrels, they are often shown to be friends. Fanworks in which they have a relationship vary greatly, with one of the most popular interpretations of Mari Ali being Alice acting like a typical tsundere towards Marissa, usually because Alice is a yokai and Marissa is not. It's bolstered by Marissa stole the precious thing. That's an understatement. Other times, Alice and or Marissa will be less exaggerated tsundere with strong feelings about the other, but unable to express them. In scenarios where they have a fully blossomed, recognized relationship, it tends to be love/hate, since Marissa is outwardly and Alice is a more calm, collected type. The phrase Mari Ari ga ore no justice, Mari Ari is my justice, is commonly used to declare support for this pairing. The most justice of pairing, supposedly anyway. Let's look at Alice's interaction with the Shrine Maiden, Reimu. Reimu and Alice are Rei Ari, and less commonly, Ari Rei. Alice appeared to have remembered Reimu from their earlier encounters in PCB and Mystic. This pairing was originally somewhat popular before Imperishable's magic team introduced the Marissa and Alice pairing. However, this pairing's popularity never did die out that much and remains one of the more popular pairings. The phrase Rei Ari wa Gaten Rei Ari is the origin is commonly used to declare support for this pairing. I mean, it did predate the Marissa pairing, so yeah, it is accurate. Another one I was not prepared for was Shinki and Alice, or Shin Ari. Supposedly, Alice is from Makai, created by Shinki. Yeah, that's about it. A rather cool pairing is Alice and Sakuya or Saku Ari. Both are handy at a particular ability as maid and doll maker, as well as having other kinds of similarities. The phrase Saku Ari ga Ori no Yahito Doru Saku Ali is my murder doll is commonly used to declare support for this pairing. As long as the doll ain't me, it's all good. The next pairing will involve the flower master of the 4 seasons, Alice and Yuka or Yu Ari. Since Yuka is usually viewed as a sadist and Alice is viewed as a more submissive individual, one would think that the two would naturally form an S&M pairing. The next pairing is dedicated to another magician, Patchouli. Alice and Patchouli or Pachu Ari. They are both sorcerers who were shut-ins. Additionally, they're both seen as Marissa-obsessed girls in fanon, which has led people to think that Marissa can't handle her harem. To be fair, given who the 2 girls are, I don't blame Marissa for not being able to handle it. The phrase Pachiari wa Shinri, Pachiari is the truth, is commonly used to declare support for Pachu Ari. Another pairing involves a resident from the Forest of Magic, Alice and Mystia or Ari Misu. Both live in the Forest of Magic, with Alice being depicted visiting Mystia's stand or helping there. The next pairing involves Remelia. Alice and Remelia or Remy Ari. This is due mainly to their conversation in Immaterial, as well as Scarlet Weather. The next pairing really caught me off guard. Lawless or Alice or Rory Ari. Though it is unlikely that the old Alice, aka Lawless, and the Windows version of Alice are 2 different people, sometimes they are portrayed together as separate people. That's something. The next one was to be expected. Shanghai and Alice or Shan Ari. Due to the fact that Shanghai is Alice's doll, sometimes Alice's dolls are depicted as autonomous living beings. Another of the curveball pairing is Yukari. Yukari and Alice are Yuka Ari. There is nothing that connects the 2 together, aside from the fact that the 2 are commonly seen as delicate. It is sometimes found along with Rei Mari. This next one will involve another doll, except it isn't one of Alice's. Alice in Medicine or Ari Medi, the doll maker and the living doll. They were both seen talking during Remelia's party in Silent Center and Blue. The last of the pairing is Alice and Raisin. Very little connection to, other than the reputation as cool-headed straight man. This ship is most likely a reference to Alice in Wonderland, with Raisin representing the White Rabbit. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Which facts about Alice did you enjoy the most? Did you like the fact that Alice came from 2 different time periods, aka the PC-98 and the Windows era? And were you surprised at all the pairings Alice had, as that was much more than I was prepared for? If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and subscribe, or else Alice might nail me to a tree. And that right there sounds like a death sentence. Either way, this is Magi, and thanks again for watching.